Sup with it, guys? You got Excellent Name here, back again for my APA Week 2 matchup against Slick Panther. He has a kind of stall team with Mega Sableye, Clefable, Gothitelle, Goodra, Lucario, Tentacruel, Talonflame, Manectric, Steelix, Barbaracle, and Tauros. I personally am very confident playing against Stall. I feel like I've got a very solid matchup against Stall with my team, and I feel like I have the patience to dismantle it, especially considering that it's missing quite a few key components, I feel. But with that in mind, the team that we bring, first one that I decided to throw on was Tapu Fini. Basically, it's just really solid against Stall. Taunt Nature Madness just destroys all walls very effectively. Gives me a fantastic answer to the Sableye as well, obviously. And just like really does a great job of cleaning the way for my offense. Speaking of the offense, first up we have Mega Zam, Carmine Recover to attack. This should be able to beat Clefable in a Carmine War quite easily, barring any T-Wave hacks kinds of deals. And just do a good job of breaking through his team in general. It does outspeed everything. I just need to get Mega Sableye bit damaged and get the right opportunity to set up. Next up we have Tornadus, just because he doesn't really have any flying resist outside of Steelix and Manectric. So Flanium Z Hurricane should be able to get big damage off onto all of his walls. Taunt obviously is going to make sure that they can't recover that damage off. Then we have Lumberry Scolipede as our setup. He really doesn't have any solid answers to prevent this thing from setting up. Once Talonflame loses its Gale Wings. Mega Sableye can try to burn this thing, but that's what the Lumberry's for, assuming that the Misty Surge is not currently up. In order to ensure that Talonflame does not have its Gale Wings up, we have Skill Swap Stealth Rocks Mesprit. This is going to be the designated lead for the Sableye, because every single Stall player ever just leads Sableye brainlessly and clicks Protect or Fake Out. So I know that even if he doesn't lead Sableye, then I just guarantee rocks up no matter what, and should be able to get some Toxics off or just get some momentum. And Colbur Berry is just to make sure that I don't get screwed over by any knockoffs or anything like that. And then we have Banded Zygarde. This thing's not really capable of sweeping without a Z Crystal, I felt, at least in this matchup, but I do feel like it's going to pressure Unaware Clef quite easily. So Banded Arrows with rocks up and a little bit of chip, I should be able to put on a lot of pressure onto that Clef to be forced in and get to it KO'd. So yeah, I'm very confident with this matchup. I decided to not bring stuff like Darm, even though it is very strong versus him, just because I don't want to take that passive chip from Flare Blitz. But let's jump into the game. Like I said, the game plan is to just lead the Mesprit, expecting the Sableye, and that's exactly what he leads. Turn 1, I'm obviously going to go for the skill swap here to get the rocks up, as he reveals to be Shadow Ball. That's quite a lot of damage, reveals to be a little bit offensive. I decided to go for the Toxic over the rocks since I feel like Talonflame isn't too threatening here, and I can just get up my rocks next turn anyway. Just wanted to try to get that chip onto the Sableye, but I can get my rocks up here as he goes for the SD and then Sky Strikes. But this isn't really any threat to me because I do have the Alakazam, which outspeeds and gets the kill here. And he doesn't really have much reason to swap out because he dies to rocks plus a couple bits of Toxic. But he shows that his designated swap in is going to be the Sableye, which makes sense. But this just gives me a free Tapu Fini, which is able to fire off a Nature's Madness quite comfortably. I expect him to go for a spin here, so I will probably lose my rocks, but I have Alakazam to put a lot of pressure onto his team afterwards. He actually reveals to be offensive with Life Orb Sludge Wave. I just want to go for a Psyshock rather than risking any crits before setting up, so I do that as he goes into Clefable and gets to it KO'd. I'm not really sure why he went into Clefable there, presumably unaware or something. I don't know, I actually just don't know, but he goes into Sableye there to scare me out as I can just go into Fini safely. I swap out there because the Spidef drop could lead me to getting chipped, and also I figured that Tentacruel would be a fairly good swap in there, but he doesn't go for that. So I can just U-turn out back into the Finny as he goes into Tentacruel that time. So he baited me out well there. I go into Scolipede because I expect him to either go for the spin, knowing that he's going to die this turn, or go for the Ice Beam predicting Zygarde, or at the very least not go for Scald. So Scolipede was a pretty safe swap there, but he does now go into the Sableye, and I don't want to take a foul play. I didn't get the opportunity to set up yet, so I go back into Finny as he goes into Barbaracle, as I fire off a Moonblast because it's no drawback at this point. And now I go into Zygarde. Even if he decides to Shell Smash up here, I do live a +2 Ice Beam. So this was a no drawback swap in. He reveals to be Rocky Helmet Bulky at the end of the game for Darmanitan, I guess. But he now goes into the Tauros, and this is where I misplay a little bit. Not majorly, just in a way that kind of choked away a couple differential points. I knew that he would be going for Life Orb, Ice Beam. That much was pretty obvious, and I knew that Zygarde would live. So my thought process was, okay, well, I'm probably going to have to sack at least one thing to this, but I can at least get some big chip off with the 1,000 Arrows, and then potentially swap into something else to take a second Ice Beam.
I think so. Is there any secret to it?
But as it turns out, Tornadus does live an Ice Beam, which is what I should have done because I still had my Z move, which I forgot about. So I go into Tornadus now to scout to see whether he would go for the second Ice Beam, because if not, then it was the least important thing for me to worry about sacking. And then I go into Scolipede here, which is also a bit of a misplay. I forgot that I wasn't max speed, but I just go for the Poison Jab to revenge him as I set up an SD there. And then he reveals to be Sucker Punch, which definitely catches me off guard, forces me to sack another Pokemon unnecessarily. But at this point, Finny can clean up. At that point in the game, that I knew there was no way that I lost as long as I didn't recklessly sack Finny. So it didn't really matter too much what plays I made before then. I just kind of made the suboptimal ones that wouldn't get me maximum differential. But you know, differential isn't super important or anything anyway, so not a big deal. Still a super clean game for me up until that point. And you know, just a few wrinkles to iron out, I guess, for next time. But yeah, still pretty good game. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.